How do you sort out the so-called jargon from real-world practices that work? Do the members of your organization find some business or technology advice utterly confusing? Welcome to Real Talk with Sam Holcman. In this program, we set the record straight, and in terms that business people and technology people can understand. Now, here is your host, Sam Holcman.
Welcome to this edition of Real Talk. And this edition of Real Talk is actually about an individual and his thoughts on the internet and artificial intelligence. And the individual that I'm talking about is Dr. Neil deGrasse Tyson. And just a little bit of background about this gentleman. First and foremost, as far as I'm concerned, he's got to be a great guy because he's a wine enthusiast. And his collection has been featured in issues of Wine Spectator and the World of Fine Wines. That's only with a little bit of humor, but can't be all bad. On the other hand, he does have some issues and allegations about sexual misconduct, and I want to acknowledge that from the readings that I have here, not all is 100% wonderful, and I'm not going to comment on that anymore. From a standpoint of his credentials, I was quite amazed at some of the credentials that he has. He's gotten 14 international awards for some of his work, 8 different honors, worldwide honors for various things, 21 honorary doctorates, and he's written 18 books and 13 research publications. Not bad at all, not bad. And what was fascinating to me was his comments, concerns, and opinions about artificial intelligence and the internet. And frankly, I agree with a lot of what he said. And one of the things that he said was artificial intelligence could be the nail in the coffin for the internet. And in some ways, I know this may sound funny, but some of you that have following me over the past years and decades know my opinion also on the internet, is that the internet is just a real problem, including people like Sir Tim Berners-Lee, who is the actual founder of the web, says maybe it's time to take a look at this in an article that he wrote in 2017. So what he's saying essentially is that artificial intelligence has been able to create such good fakes that no one will trust the internet anymore for anything, and we just have to simply shut it down because it's worthless. In other words, it has no meaning anymore because of all the data that is being used or misused. Please remember that the artificial intelligence engines are being trained on the stuff that's on the internet. And maybe this is, as he says, the final nail in the coffin where we would recognize that it's time to look at not the internet and fixing it with tweaks, so to speak, but actually going and looking at, is there a new environment, that we need? And he's also suggesting that, the internet's been around for around 30 years right now, and maybe it's actually time to take another look at it. And because you can't re-engineer something that was not engineered in the first place, meaning the internet, it's not fixable. In other words, the only thing really to do is to start all over again. And the internet can possibly get a vote of no confidence from us from this. The other hand, he says, maybe we should actually redouble our efforts to show all the bad things that are going on so we could get to the end state. And that's another thought that's there, okay? And he also finally suggests that he believes things are going to get much worse. Now, from my standpoint, my understanding and opinion is what we have to do is to take a breath for a moment and recognize that with artificial intelligence, we have the engine and the stuff that is being used to train it. The engine may be one thing that we can sort of keep or modify or enhance It's the data that's the problem. And what we have to do is to attack the data. And maybe that is the key to the future of artificial intelligence. Recognizing that the processing engine is not the real issue, but the data is the real issue. More on that in upcoming broadcasts.
Thank you for tuning in to Real Talk. Be sure to join your host, Sam Holcman, again for another edition of our program. We'll have more real topics of discussion then.